United States, Donald Trump, China, and TikTok. Now, a while back, I made a video where I said that I wouldn't trust anything coming out of this Trump administration because all they do is lie, and that China had not yet confirmed any type of deal with the Trump administration for the sale of TikTok. Well, it turns out that that was correct. China has still not confirmed a deal with Donald Trump and the Trump administration about the sale of TikTok. Even though the Trump administration likes to claim that he saved TikTok and that everybody owes him some type of debt of gratitude, just today China said that there is no concrete deal, but they are still willing to work with the United States. But yet Trump made it sound like there was an actual deal in place, that it was all said and done. But just like everything that comes out of Trump's mouth is a lie, this was a lie as well. As far as I'm concerned, any and everything that comes out of this Trump administration cannot be taken for the truth, cannot be taken seriously unless it's well vetted, because these guys are just lying their asses off and will say anything to make the American public believe that they are winning. And they want you to believe that they are winning at all costs, just like they lie about grocery prices. Trump likes to get on there and tell you that the prices of groceries are way down, but yet we all friggin' shop. We know that they're not. He likes to tell us that energy costs have been cut in half. We know that's a lie. Everything that comes out of this administration cannot be taken seriously. Whether it's job numbers, whether it's price indexes, whether it's deals with TikTok, it's all a big lie because he wants to portray that he's winning, even though he is losing on every single front. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Make sure to share this video, get the word out that the deal is not done for TikTok. This is Grim with Get the Rant, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Major news: as for the third day in a row, Senate Republicans join Democrats and vote to strip Trump of his tariff power. They did it to strip the tariffs from Canada, to strip the tariffs from Brazil, and today they voted to end the national emergency Trump issued that allows him to issue global tariffs. They have passed a resolution to end this emergency, and it will go to the House of Representatives. The only problem is they are still out of session on break until January 3rd. Mike Johnson has them in recess until then. Now, he said he could bring them back within 24 hours notice should they be required to come back. And guys, I'm sorry, but this requires them to come back. Let your reps know. Send them messages, call their numbers, let them know they need to get back and work on this, along with reopening the government. Again, these senators are Mitch McConnell, Rand Paul, Lisa Murkowski, and Susan Collins. Until the House gets back, though, this is moving nowhere. So let everyone know they need to get back to work. We need to reopen the government, and we need to get Adelita Grijalva sworn into office. Comment if you agree. Let me know what you think about this. Like, share, spread the word, follow, subscribe, and I'll see you back here for the 411.
So this is the most infuriating video I think I've ever made. But I'm hopeful that with your help, we can change this into the most awe-inspiring video that I've ever made.
This funding for SNAP has never lapsed in the history of the United States. Last shutdown under President Trump. They found a way to use this money.
So, by now we all know that Donald Trump, Mike Johnson, and congressional Republicans are fine if Americans go hungry. Well, myself and about 40 other of your favorite content creators got together and decided that we were not fine with it. We all got together and formed something called the Creator Coalition. And right now, we are partnering with feedingamerica.org to help raise money for food banks. We want to use our platforms, the platforms that you have given us. We couldn't do any of this without you. You've given us this platform, and we want to use it to affect some positive change in this country. Now, here's where you guys come in. If you would like to join me in making a monetary donation to this cause, you can go to the link in my bio. On my link tree, it's the very first button you can push. You can make a donation there. Maybe you don't have a few dollars to spare. That's absolutely fine. You can help for free. Simply interact with this video, like, comment, and share, and help us spread the word. Or maybe you'd like to take cans of food directly to a local community food bank. That's great. Go to feedingamerica.org. They have an interactive map where you can find local food banks in your area. And if you simply want to get out in your community and help make a real, physical, impactful change, go volunteer some time. Find out when they're handing out food at your local community food bank and offer to volunteer. You'll probably see me talking about this a lot in the next couple of days, and I apologize in advance, but this is a very, very important issue for me, and I feel like this is an opportunity for a lot of us to make a big impact on our fellow Americans. Thanks, guys.
So, folks, you're not going to believe this. So the details of the USA-China agreement has come out. And this is something that Donald Trump, of course, is celebrating this, a win-win, etc. You have to remember that Donald Trump is the person that created this trade war with China. Under Biden, there was not a trade war. So anyway, let's go through the details here. There's a few details I need to talk to you about. You're not going to believe this. So Trump has announced that China has agreed to buy 25 million metric tons of soybean, but in 2026. Okay, so the soybean farmers are being devastated now. So sometime in 2026, China have agreed to go ahead and purchase 25 million metric tons of soybean. The big problem with this is this. In 2024, China purchased over 27 million metric tons of soybean. So Donald Trump has just agreed to allow China to buy 2 million metric tons less than they were buying previously, before he took office. And remember, he started this trade war. And so many farmers in the United States are struggling. Their livelihoods have been devastated. And sometime in the future, soybean is going to be bought again by the Chinese, and Trump's allowed it to be less than it was. Doesn't sound much of a deal, does it? Now, so what does China get? China gets a lot. Listen to this. So export taxes on Chinese goods have been removed. Okay? Tariffs have been lowered. So it's more attractive to buy Chinese goods because the tax on them is less. And also they've been allowed to purchase chips from NVIDIA, something that Donald Trump said previously that he was dead against, and in fact even blocked it from happening. This guy is crap at making deals.
We need to have a serious conversation because earlier today, something launched that the mainstream media is not talking about. This is something that I, as total hypocrisy, separate from this movement, would typically post on my own channel. But I think it's so critical that the people involved in this movement, meaning all of you, hear this, share this with at least 5 people, get people on board, because this is our last line of defense before things get messy. That's all I can say on this app. This was posted by the President of the United States today, October 30th, 2025. It says, for all great law enforcement patriots who would like to join the world's premier law enforcement task force, where police officers are fully allowed and empowered to do their job and battle crime, apply today to join the Make DC Safe Task Force. You will be at the cutting edge of defending our nation's capital city from all dangers and threats, and will be able to join the elite agency of your choice. If you have strong experience, you can begin on the task force immediately. It says DC, but when you click on the link, this is what you will find. It says very specifically, stay with me, join President Trump's DC task force. And in smaller print, it says join the multi-agency task force in DC and nationwide. This is for the entire country, dedicated to keeping our streets safe and our cities strong. Now, I'm not going to show you the whole page. That's something you can do on your own, but I need you to see what this part says specifically. This is a loyalist organization. We already have ICE in place. This is only going to amplify this further because it says every skill set has a place in protecting our nation. The website details that they are taking retired police officers, veterans, people who might have a skill set to be an officer, but there's a whole section in which they are hiring civilians without any specific qualifications. It then says join a mission-driven law enforcement team equipped with the latest gear technology and the full backing of the United States government. You remember January 6, 2021. You know where you were, you know what you saw, you know how scary that was in that moment. When they say the full backing of the United States government, that's exactly what they mean. Because what did they do the moment that they took office again? They pardoned all of the J6ers, who then many of them went on to be released free of their crimes and then commit further crimes. You need to understand that these people will be allowed to do whatever they want, whenever they want, to whomever they want. This is incredibly serious. And it's almost like what we are going through in terms of SNAP benefits not coming through, allegedly. We'll see what happens tomorrow, the 31st of October. In terms of what they want to do to healthcare, it seems that there are an awful lot of incentives that cure the problems that they are creating. I know you might not be able to see the top line there. It says recruitment bonuses. Federal incentives for answering the call, healthcare to meet your needs, medical, dental, vision. They say if you join us, if you join our side, the wrong side of history, we'll make your life way easier. So much easier. And here's just one of the many, many postings you can find on this website. If you will notice, you report to the Department of the Interior, the National Park Service. There are many different government departments and agencies that are listed on these job postings, meaning what? Meaning we, the people, are funding this. We are funding it with our tax dollars and our hard work and the money we spend. We are funding this, and I am begging you to get at least 5 people to join the Big Beautiful Boycott. Not for me, not for Mia, not for Bentley. We don't get shit out of this. We don't. There is nothing we get out of this. Financially, nothing. And you need to help us get this out there. It is a team effort here. You are part of that team. I think now more than ever, we have to realize this is our last line of defense. And if this doesn't scare you, I don't know what else will. Because what comes next is a task force in a town near you made up of officers, veterans, and civilians who will do what they want to you when they want. And there will be no consequences because they have the backing of the federal government and the money comes from your back pocket. Go share this with 5 people.
Has now met with President Xi of China. And as you know, President Xi and China are positioning themselves as the new world leader. And Xi has 0 Fs to give. And just watch this whole exchange, Kylie and viewer, watch this whole exchange and listen to it between Xi and Trump. Play the clip.
Mr. President, the President of the People's Republic of China.
We're pleasure to see you again. Good to see you again. Right. Me too. And we're going to have a very successful meeting, I have no doubt.
Okay. All right, so there is Kanks, and you can tell that she is just like, it is so beneath me to come shake this imbecile's hand. And you have to remember, Kylie, do you remember all of the TikToks when J.D. Vance referred to Chinese workers as peasants and how offended the Chinese workers were?
I do.
Yeah.
I watched this video last night, and he thinks he's an idiot. And he does not hide it, which I actually really appreciate, because I feel like other world leaders, I want them to show him how much they hate him. I want him to know. And this is finally giving it to me.
I agree with that. I always think a lot of these world leaders are playing into the Putin playbook, which is to psychologically flatter him. And I think it's a real short-term positioning for these world leaders. Like if you're going to stand for democracy and you're going to stand for the rule of law, and the United States is skirting all of those things, and we are seeing human rights violations in our own country, our European allies should be the first to call that out. But instead, it's always this suck up because we have all the bombs. And so I love that she did this, because at the end of the day, the Chinese economy is only dependent upon the sales to America. It's only 10%. They can make up for that. And they're disciplined enough and not as materialistic and instant gratification as Americans. So they're kind of like, you disrespect us. You are all racist. You need us way more than we need you. And you're going to call our workforce that provides all the riffraffs and knickknacks for your online flea market, President Kanks, and you're going to be disrespectful about our workers. And I think he met him with exactly the disrespect that Kanks deserves. Okay, moving along. This was before he met with Xi. You guys, the dementia is just really off the charts. It's unbelievable. The U.S. government is shut down. The poorest Americans, military leaders, et cetera, are not going to receive their paychecks. They're not going to receive food. Kanks doesn't give a shit, and he doesn't even know who he's meeting with and what's going on. Kylie, play the clip.
I met with Mr. Toyota, and we had an amazing meeting. I said, "What's your name?" Toyota. And I said, "You're rich," and he's going to invest.
Okay. He says he met Mr. Toyota, and then Trump responds, "You're rich." And then Trump lies and says that Toyota says they're going to invest something like $10 billion in the United States of America. And reporting comes out after that where Toyota comes on the record and says, no, we're not doing that. And he does all of this stuff. And I would think the biggest lead of this whole shit show of an Asian tour that starts with him bragging about acing a dementia test, him getting lost with the PM of Japan, getting humiliated by President Xi, doesn't seem to know where he is. It says in Japan that he lost the election that he actually won. I would think the lead story.
Stephen Miller, Kristi Noem, and others are currently living in military bunkers with your tax dollars. Did you know that? Come on in, set a spell. So this is something that's not getting a lot of fanfare or a lot of light, but the rest of the country is dealing with enough right now. So we're dealing with rising rent, food costs, the loss of SNAP benefits, disappearing health coverage, and your tax dollars are literally taking care of the very people that are a part of some of this foolery. They're in military housing. I just thought you needed to know that, but let's dig a little bit deeper, shall we? So according to the Daily Beast, Trump advisor Stephen Miller, who's actually the architect behind the administration's immigration process that we're all experiencing right now, and a lot of us are like, oh, hell no, has taken up residence in military housing, folks. And they're actually calling it the Trump Green Zone. So he moved in after a wave of public protests outside of his Arlington home, according to the report made to the Daily Beast. And he's not alone. Kristi Noem, she's been doing it for some time now, living rent-free. The architect behind a couple of other things herself. She's reserved some space for herself, and it's interesting to me. She's been living there in a home typically reserved for the Coast Guard commandants at Joint Base Anacostia Bowling in Washington, D.C. Her stay has stretched for months at no cost, even as Coast Guard families face housing shortages. Now, that's according to the Washington Post. These aren't isolated moves. Multiple senior figures have reportedly sought refuge inside secure, taxpayer-backed basic housing for some time, in citing threats and protests that folks have been exercising their right to do. But here's the catch. These homes were built and funded for active duty military families, not political appointees seeking quiet luxury under the banner of security. How about that? Well, at first glance, you might think, okay, so what? safety concerns. They need to make sure that they're good, right, in the middle of everything that's going on. But this isn't about protection only. It's about privilege. That's the first daggone thing, and access. And lastly, it's also about accountability. So you big and bad enough to do the stuff that you've been doing. Military versus civilian lines, they're actually blurring right now. When political appointees start taking up space, did you hear what I just said? In military housing, it challenges the principle that the armed forces and civilian leadership operate separately. Here's the other thing that you ought to be hot as fish grease about, since we're talking about who's footing what bill. Taxpayers are footing the bill. You and me, folks that's getting up, going to work every day, right? And while some of us are mad that people are getting food stamps and so forth, these people still getting paid, and they're living rent-free off of your dime. Now, some of these homes require six-figure maintenance costs. One property reportedly underwent $137,000 in taxpayer-funded upgrades before it was occupied. So let me tell you this. The message is absolutely clear. Public officials are sheltering themselves from the very people they claim to represent, which we know that they're only representing their own best interests and their beliefs. And security may be the reason, but isolation is the result. Should you be concerned? Absolutely. Because what are they isolating themselves from? Sounds like bunkering down, doesn't it? So for everyday Americans, for you, the people in the neighborhood, this story isn't just about where powerful people put themselves to bed every night. It's about who pays for their comfort while the rest of us are struggling to afford on our own the very things that they said you don't deserve, that I don't deserve. How does that make you feel? Okay. All right. So let's talk about the patterns that it reveals. Basically, it's a disconnect, it's displacement, it's disinterest. So first of all, leaders physically separating themselves from the people, that's not leadership, folks. Can I say it? I'm going to say it. That's a punk move. That's a sucker move. Displacement. Military families pushed further down housing lists as political appointees are moving in. And guess what? They bring in their camera crews and their makeup artists with them too. How about that? Isn't that nice? On your dime. Officials avoiding public spaces is another thing. So that's a disinterest. You unbothered about what's happening right now. You're not even looking across the horizon to see what's really... You literally don't care. And you're having such fun doing it at our expense. And there will be some of you that will get in my comments and you will call me everything but a child of God. But the one thing that you cannot dispute is the fact that your tax dollars is paying for this. Instead of facing the people, instead of looking people in the eye and stop punking out, they're bunkering in on your dime. How you like that? How do you like that? Because it's still your tax dollars. For more news and information that you can always use, head over to brownstoneworldwide.com, Cityscape Radio, and you guessed it, Brownstone Living Magazine. Now go back to work so you can take more of your tax dollars and keep paying their rent. We'll see you around.